The story of the so-called Russian sleep experiment is a terrifying and mysterious tale, though it is widely regarded as a creepypasta rather than a true historical event. The narrative begins during World War II when Russian scientists devised an experiment to test the effects of extreme sleep deprivation on prisoners of war. The scientists wanted to keep their soldiers awake longer and tested a stimulant gas that was intended to prevent sleep. 5 prisoners of war were offered freedom if they volunteered for the experiment, and they were placed inside a sealed gas chamber, where the stimulant gas was continuously administered. Over the first few days, everything appeared normal, with the prisoners engaging in conversation. However, by the 4th day, their discussions turned darker, and they began discussing traumatic events from their pasts. Around the 6th day, the subjects stopped talking to each other and became paranoid, each isolating themselves. Some even began whispering betrayals to the researchers, hoping to sell out the others in exchange for their freedom. On the 10th day, one of the subjects began screaming uncontrollably, running around the chamber. This went on for 3 hours until his vocal cords were torn from the strain. The other subjects did not react to his screams, but instead began ripping out pages of books and pushing them against the porthole glass, obscuring the researchers' view. The experiment continued in complete silence for the next few days. The researchers could monitor oxygen levels, and they believed at least some of the prisoners were still alive. After 3 days of silence, the researchers used an intercom to speak with the subjects, offering one of them immediate freedom if they complied. One of the subjects responded saying, "We no longer want to be freed." Despite this, the silence continued. By the 15th day, the researchers decided to stop the experiment and replace the stimulant gas with fresh air. At that point, they heard screaming again, but this time the subjects were begging for the gas to be turned back on, as if it was keeping them alive. When they finally opened the chamber, they found the scene to be horrifying. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, but they were severely mutilated, with chunks of their own flesh ripped off and stuffed into drains. The room was flooded with stagnant water, and it became clear that the subjects had been eating themselves. In the chaos of extracting the subjects from the chamber, 2 more subjects died. One was fatally injured by a soldier, while another's spleen ruptured during the struggle. The remaining subjects were taken to a medical facility, where one resisted the anesthetic and eventually died during surgery. Another subject, who had torn his vocal cords, passed away as well. Only one subject remained alive, but he was also subjected to extreme trauma. The researchers, unsure of the cause of death, speculated that it could have been a combination of the sleep deprivation and the stimulant gas. They decided to return the last remaining subject to the chamber and observe his brain activity. As they monitored him, they saw his brain waves flatline each time he closed his eyes, as if he was experiencing repeated brain death. Ultimately, the subject fell asleep and died. The story of the Russian sleep experiment remains one of the most chilling urban legends, with no definitive proof of its truth. However, during the time period of the story, human experimentation did occur in various places, and it's not entirely out of the question that something similar could have taken place. Despite its fantastical nature, the Russian sleep experiment continues to captivate people's imaginations.